Howdy! This is a presentation over Michael Halliday's Functions of Language.
Let's look at specific functions of language that were suggested by Michael Halliday. He identified 8 functions of language that children have during their early developmental years. According to Halliday, children become motivated to develop language because it serves for certain purposes to them. Each function satisfies specific needs such as physical, emotional, or social. Additionally, other functions aid the children to become comfortable with his or her surroundings. One of Halliday's strongest beliefs was that language will occur naturally based on the context and the situation of which it is being used. The 7 functions Halliday proposed are instrumental, regulatory, interactional, personal, heuristic, imaginative, informative, and divertive. The first function we will talk about is the instrumental function, which typically starts with the words "I want." It is language as a means of getting things or satisfying specific needs. This function uses language to communicate preferences, choices, wants, and needs. Children will make requests or ask for things. It can be used in the classroom by having students clarify instructions for morning routines. Other experiences in the classroom that allow students to apply this function are problem solving, gathering necessary materials, asking for specific supplies such as a purple crayon, or asking for permission to use the restroom by announcing they want to use the restroom. For example, if a student would like to use the dry erase boards to complete a problem effectively, then he or she will utilize the instrumental function when asking for permission to use the dry erase board. The regulatory function uses language to control, cause and effect, or prevent an action. It is the language used to control behavior, feelings, or attitudes of others. A few words related to the regulatory function are directs, commands, convinces, and persuades. A few classroom experiences that allow students to use the regulatory function are determining steps for completing projects, making the rules for a game, giving instructions to a partner or group, teaching something, or role-playing classroom routines.
Our third language function is the interactional function. It is language that is used in social interactions and to get along with others. It typically depicts a me and you idea. This language function is used in the classroom when students work in groups on assignments or when they play together. Our fourth language function is the personal function. It is language that is used to talk about oneself or express individuality. The personal language function is used in the classroom when students share personal experiences or when they make their feelings public. An example of this would be students explaining what they did over spring break. It depicts a "here I come" attitude. Michael Halliday's fifth language function is the heuristic function. This is language that is used to seek information and test knowledge. You can see this in the classroom when students ask teachers or students about how something works, or to explain the ideas in the story. It typically has a question and answer format. This is a function I think we all hope is readily used in our future classroom, because it means the students want to know why something occurs.
The next function is one of the most amusing functions because it allows students to use their imagination. Evidently, it is the imaginative function. This uses language to create, explore, and entertain. It is language that is used when making up stories and creating new worlds. It usually indicates a "let's pretend" idea. A few classroom experiences that will allow students to use the imaginative function are using wordless books to create new stories, using other pictures to create stories, using creative dramatics to act out original ideas, creating rhymes, poems, and riddles, and playing word games. An example is the following video that shows how a teacher is using paint and voice recorders to practice using the imaginative function in an ESL classroom. The students will create a dragon using the program Paint, and then they will record themselves telling a story about the dragon they drew. The students will then be able to replay what they recorded and hear themselves telling the story. I think this is an engaging activity that allows the students to apply the imaginative function during a learning experience in the classroom. The informative function is language that is used when conveying information or giving a description. It uses language to explain, synthesize, summarize, clarify, respond, and retell. It usually entails an "I've got something to tell you" idea. Children are full of knowledge and enjoy informing others of what they know. There are different classroom activities that allow students to use the informative function. For example, telling their peers about something that happens in the real world or expressing a proposition about something important to them. I think a fun activity that would be engaging for the students is performing impromptu speeches. The students would have about 10 minutes to look up information about a random topic that was chosen out of a container, and they would have 5 more minutes to create a short informative speech, and then finally present the information to the class. Other classroom experiences that relate to the informative function are sharing ideas about what should be studied in a project or theme cycle, explaining what happened during an important event like the basketball game or the awards ceremony, and describing a sport they enjoy watching on television. Last but not least is the divertive function. This function is also another amusing function of language because it involves jokes and riddles. It is language that is used when telling jokes or puns. It is a function that should be enjoyed and used during special times because it promotes enjoyment. Children love to solve riddles and to tell funny jokes, so incorporating a specific time in the daily routine to give the students an opportunity to exhibit this function is very important.